another Bale break. This is gonna be a video just of the good things and the things I want to Google Lens, because this time I took a lot more time trying to pick out some of the old money brands. I've been watching a lot of other YouTubers and what brands you should watch out for. I know a lot of like the Y2K, your Hollisters, your Afflictions, stuff like that, but I wanted to take more time and pick out some of the like the Pendleton, the Polos. Polos I kind of know, but like old money brands like Polo, you know what I mean? And so a lot of the brands that I wasn't really sure about when I was going through the Bale, I set aside that they might be nothing, but I want to Google Lens them at least and take the opportunity to try and learn about some brands to see if they're good keeps for future or they're throwaways, just to save me some time or maybe make some extra money. There may be more things in this pile that aren't worth anything, but we're gonna set them aside. We're gonna Google Lens them as we go. This Bale was much better than the first two Bales. I posted a video on the first Bale and the video went bonkers, so I'm doing another one. The second one I didn't even bother recording because I didn't think it was gonna do that good. So I appreciate y'all, and hopefully we'll do a lot more of these. If you do wanna see the full Bale break of kind of unedited raw, exactly what you get, blankets, kids clothes, rags, towels, everything, go watch the full unedited video. I'll link it down and you can see the whole process of a full Bale break. And at the end, I'll do a little breakdown of exactly how many items I kept, roughly how many items I think we got in the Bale, and we'll kind of do like a little cost breakdown of exactly how much money we think we're gonna make on the Bale and all the items I kept. Yeah, let's get into all the items and all the cool finds that we got. Let's go.
So just for reference, this is about everything that I got. This is about 1,000 pounds to 1,200 pounds. And this is everything that I kept, which is probably 100 to 200 pounds.
First up, we got a Zara basic, Zara kind of dress shirt. I did want to keep some of like the Zara and like other items that I know as well that are like old money brands or like, you know, just brands that sell well to give to other resellers. So I set some of those aside that I want to make like reseller boxes and just move them for like $2, $3, maybe $5 just to get rid of them, because otherwise they would just get thrown in the donate pile. So if I can make a little bit extra money on some of these reseller people, then that's awesome. So like something like this I would never sell, but it is made in Canada, so it's vintage. It is Piccadilly Fashions, made in Canada, so I have to Google Lens this, but it did set it aside. At the end we can do a kind of a Google Lens on some of these brands, but I'm just gonna hold up everything that we got so far just to keep the pace of the video. Next up, we got some corduroy kind of denim 0.0. Pretty much all 0.0 is vintage, so grab those for myself. Next up, we got a polo, Ralph Lauren polo bathrobe, good shape. I don't know if that's a regular size pony or if that's a big pony for this, but that should be an eBay item, I would think. Lululemon, Reebok sweats, I'm not sure. Those might have got put in by accident. I might have thought it was a Lulu, but we shall see. Reebok is technically vintage. They don't make it anymore. I got a few of these MF Sports made in Canada. They're just like stretchy elastic thermals that are made in Canada, so it is vintage. So I was gonna try things like this that I know won't sell on Depop most likely. Well, it might, I don't know. I was just gonna set them aside and try and do a whatnot show just because it is vintage and call it a vintage show, because some people do buy for the sole fact that it is vintage. Here we got some Y2K Hollister, and this time I was very picky. If it was stained, I absolutely did not keep it because I'm starting to get so much inventory that it's just not worth keeping even the like what if items. We got a Hollister, that'll go in my pile. We got Lucky. Lucky is a decent brand for resellers, but I'm not sure. That aside, for women's at least, Jessica, I got this. Someone told me that Jessica is not good after I had already set aside, so I'm gonna put that in the no pile. Skechers Rough Riders on a Bulletin cotton, made in Canada, vintage t-shirt. I'll keep that for myself. Sleeves are cut. Next up, we got an Ascent Canada. Paper tag's worn off, definitely vintage. It's like a fleece vest, so that is vintage. Not normally something I would keep, but it is vintage. Here we got Victoria's Secret. I think everyone knows, safe to say that that's kind of like a dress. Is a brand that will sell regardless. Up some Aeropostale sweats stuff. We got Barbie or Barbara Lewis, maybe? Barbara Lewis, maybe? I'm not sure on that one. That's a Google Lens. Here we got a Lulu, shape Lulu. Blue Notes, I'm unsure if that's a brand that people want. We got Levi's. I'm not sure if women's Levi's tops sell. Grab that. I did get some cool vintage tees. There's a Scooby-Doo coming up in there somewhere. There's a really old Montreal Canadiens hat. Cotton Ginny, I'm not sure if that's a throwaway or not. Okay, so this is a Lulu. There's no tag in it, but there's the little horseshoe in the bottom, so long sleeve Lulu. Boohoo, I think Boohoo's a good brand, but I'm not sure. Boohoo cotton, it's kind of a preppy tempering. I'm so dyslexic, so bear with me. Tempering R. Simmons, kind of a preppy long sleeve, so Google Lens, maybe reseller box. CC, not really sure, might be a reseller box. Camo seems to do well on Depop. Pro Action, My Item, Abercrombie Fitch, Y2K stuff, Y2K with the embroidery. This could be a Depop item. Star Wars, probably go on Depop for like $5.10 maybe. This is kind of a really cool all over print that I will probably sell myself. It's on a cactus tag, but I don't know, maybe 20 bucks for that. North Face, cargos, should be good for a reseller box. Here is a vintage blue Chicago State. It is on a Fruit of the Loom made in USA tag. My item, probably like $30 item maybe. Next up, we got Dynamite. I'm not sure if Dynamite sells, but that'll go in a reseller box. Madeline Line, reseller box. If it goes in the reseller box, I'm just gonna try and, if the brand goes, I'm just gonna try and get a couple bucks for it, but I don't know what they're normally worth. Only the things that I know that are worth money I'll comment on. Here's Disney Bambi shirt. I don't know, probably 20 ball on my stuff. Disney pajama shirt, very soft, Mickey Mouse, probably another 20. Stinier, women's, unsure reseller box. DC, good Y2K brand, the patch on the bottom, probably 20 or 30 bucks. Initiatives, women's initiatives, unsure. We got an MGK Banty, probably not super old, but MGK is pretty big and relevant. Probably not the best quality, but should get 20 for it. Gardenia Bellessa, which is made in the USA, paper tag, Bellessa, so this one's vintage. Here's Roger Ross. I don't know if this is a spin-off of G-Star Raw, so I did keep these for myself, but I'm not sure. Project Raw, I'll have to Google lens those. .0 women's, so that's vintage. Bubble Brooks, dress shirts, made in USA, little bit stained, but it is vintage, so throw it in the vintage pile. Starter sweatpants, myself, probably 30, you might get 40 on those. There's a Lulu with a big horseshoe. I mean, I just moved Lulus at $5 just to get rid of them, but probably 30 if you actually sell Lulu. Another Lulu. Tanjay, I feel like I've heard of this brand. Pretty sure it sells, so put it in the reseller box, but I'm not entirely sure. There's a vintage Mexico shirt. Playa del Carmen is double stitch, but it is older. It has a hang tag that's cut. Probably 15 bucks. Canary, made in Canada, vintage women's throw. Wu-Tang, probably another 30. Here we got a Howling Castle, vintage tee. That anime, if you know anything about anime, you know. It's made in Mexico 2004, so it's 22 years old. It is vintage, so that's probably a 30 piece. Anime people go crazy too. 30, maybe 40. Travelers, made in USA. Hollister long sleeve, probably a 20 piece. Pretty basic, that one. Zara, women's, that'll probably go in the reselling box, but that's probably 20 or 30 bucks. Zara is a very expensive brand. Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Harley Davidson on a Yazbek tag. On a Yazbek tag. Me, it's probably a $30, $40 item. Made in Canada, Carry again. Women's sweats or dress maybe. If they're true vintage, they're probably automatically 20 bucks, especially if they're in good condition. NHL Toronto Maple Leaf sweats. It's got the cool hit down the leg. That'll sell on Depop for sure, or eBay. 20, 30 piece probably. We got no Carhartt in this one. This is the first bundle that I got no Carhartt, which is interesting. Got this vintage eyeball shirt. It is made in the USA. I'll have to Google lens this one, but it is vintage. I'm not sure what that one is. It is very cool. Let's do one Google lens here. People seem to be selling rugs on Depop of this. Oh my gosh, someone's selling this rug for $350 for this exact same logo. So I'm not sure what this is. I'm gonna do one more eBay Google lens. Mishka, New York. Big logo men's sweatshirt is what comes up on eBay. Not entirely sure, but someone's got it on here for 40 bucks. So undercut the market just to move it. Call it 20 or 30 piece. Is vintage. We got a Snoop Dogg tee, not vintage, but it should sell on Depop for even 20 bucks just because it's graphic and it's Snoop Dogg. Vivian Rose, pajama top, long sleeve, seller box. Traditions, made in Canada, paper tag. Sweats, glowy sweats, made in USA, fleece. I think there's a brand on this unless it's on the inside. No specific brand, but it is vintage fleece. Vivian Rose, pajama top, long sleeve plaid, Tentree. And I think this is an older Tentree. It's got the cool like pattern in the collar, which is kind of cool, and like down the buttons. I think this is an older Tentree, so that's probably a 30 piece. Most of my items that I kept are probably 30s. I don't think there's any too many bangers, except for maybe that Howls Castle, you might get 40. And there was a Montreal Canadiens hat that I saw coming up next. And some of this Abercrombie Finch can go for a bit more if it's single stitch. This one's a double, so probably a 20, 30 again. Here's the Montreal Canadiens hat from early 90s. It's got real leather. Oh, my foot is cramping. It's got real leather here and real leather on the strap on the back, which is very cool. It's on an American needle, 1918 tag, very old. This is probably like a 60 piece, maybe more. There was one on eBay that was in roughly about the same condition for about 60. Should be at least a $50 hat, maybe more, depending if you want to sit on it. Levi's hoodie. Not sure if I should keep that for myself or put it in the reseller box, but it should be, you know, at least 20 bucks. Pink, I think Pink is a good women's brand, but I'm not entirely sure if it sells. I'm gonna put it in reseller box for someone to decide, and I can take it out. Zara thermal for men's maybe, or women's. This looks vintage. I don't know if it is. It's made in China, but it's a very cool, like color block knit, kind of button up long sleeves. Very cool. I think a reseller will want it, or even if I do a vintage show. Chaps, I don't think Chaps sells that well. I've had a few Chaps, like polos. I don't think it sells as good as the regular Ralph Lauren polo. So this one, I might set off the side to Google Lens, maybe a 10 piece. This is cool. I don't know how old it is, but I believe this is like an official practice jersey for the Seafell Eskimos. Seafell isn't that big here, but I did keep it because it was a cool find. I don't know if I'm gonna sell it, but I thought it was cool to show it off. Ohio State, Gildan Heavy Blend tag, Ohio State hoodie. Should sell for 15 maybe. We got Disney. Disney seems to do good with people. Pajama shirt, not vintage, but a reseller might want it just because it's Disney. Here we got a Hugo Boss zip up. I'm unsure if it'll sell. Never really tried too much on Hugo Boss, but I would imagine you get a minimum 10 bucks on it for sure. This looks cool, so I set it aside. Attitude, top 10. Not sure if it's anything or if it's just like a quick fashion. Put it in the reseller box. We got this Free People made in the USA. Women's tank top is vintage. Here we got some vintage Cougar Regina University sweat shorts. Regina is a city in Saskatchewan, but they are on Russell tag. Very old sweat shorts. They're vintage. I don't know if they'll sell on Depop because it's such a niche like city, and Canadian universities don't usually do that well, so I don't think it'll sell for me, but it was a cool find. Here we got a cool Roots Y2K, little yachty kind of collared polo. Probably, I bet that one you get 30 for. Graphic tee, Lego, an official 2013 trademark Lego Joker tee. Should sell. It's about 15 years old, coming up on vintage. Levi's, again, reseller box. Probably someone could easily flip that for 20 bucks probably. Vivian Rose, again, seller box. These are kind of cool. If you're from Canada, you'll know what Sears is. These are vintage Sears pillowcases. I got 2 of them. I'm not sure if someone will want them just because they're vintage, but they are paper tag from Sears vintage pillowcases. So I did set them aside. Was kind of odd, but cool find. Someone might buy them. Q Baby, these are super old Wranglers, I believe. I didn't know what Q Baby was, but I'm pretty sure these are very old Wranglers, but I don't, well, maybe they're not because they don't got a paper tag, but I've never seen Wranglers with pockets done up and a Q Baby version. Maybe they're newer and that's why, but like usually they have the leather patch on the back. I'm not sure, I gotta look into these. That is a Google Lens, and like the button even has Wrangler on it. I think those might be worth money. Those potentially could be $50 to $100, or they could be worth nothing. That one I need to look into. Hollister, knit Y2K, 30 bucks, 20 bucks. Oakenfort, women's tee. Pretty sure Oakenfort is a sought after, more modern brand like Zara. Here's a cool like pillowcase, vintage pillowcase, animal style, that with the pillowcases. Here we got a Tracy company, made in Canada, just a long sleeve, so I believe it's vintage. It's kind of a screen print, so it might not be, and it might be one of the rare brands that are made in Canada that isn't vintage, but I did throw it aside. I can do a show with it and someone can make that decision. England polo, England unofficial tag. I don't know if this is a soccer jersey or something, but this should be a Google Lens. I believe it's some type of soccer jersey or some type of something. I just sold a France soccer jersey for 70 bucks today, this morning. So look out for those soccer jerseys. I will have to definitely Google Lens that one. Wilfred, someone told me to set that aside for their reselling box. Here's a cool Depop Nintendo Entertainment System tag. Cool Depop one, collector's item. Here we got an MF Doom shirt. It looks like a reprint. Might be okay for Depop, like a $10 item maybe. Nothing on the back. It's on a Gildan, so it's not new, or it's not old. This is a Google Lens item, knit. It's got straps across the front, like a little belt kind of action. It is brand Monda. That is a Google Lens. Blue Jays toque, dead stock, got the tag on still. Probably Should get at least 10 for it. I don't think it's that old, but got the tags on it, brand new. Disney should sell for me. It's another Depop, $15 to $20 item. Here we got a New Era CFL PA, I think. I don't know if the refs wore this or what. Kind of a cool find. I don't think it's anything to write home about, but it is on New Era. Kind of cool. And again, CFL is kind of dead here. So I haven't really been keeping stuff unless it was really true vintage or like a specific team. Here we got a Zara, a little bit stained on the back. Not sure if someone will take it or not. Here's a Pantman paper tag. This is definitely vintage. I can tell just by the tag, but it wasn't made. Oh, it is made in Canada. Made in Canada, Pantman, a vintage dress shirt, and it's kind of got these like gemstones on the buttons, which is kind of cool. I'll need to Google Lens that, see what it's actually worth. Lulu hoodie. Those are good for easily 30 up to 50 on Depop. Here is a cool vintage style Ford Bronco shirt. Try and find a date on it here. It's pretty beat up, but this could be early 2000s Ford Bronco tee. That's a Depop, probably 30 bucks on Depop for sure, regardless of the year. Here is a cool Russell Athletic made in Mexico, just blank. I might try and sun fade this and do a video on that, because anything this color specifically that's sun faded seems to do insane for me. It's easily 30 bucks every time. I might try and sun fade it. Usually I throw it on Depop as is and then sun fade it while it's on Depop, so then I can adjust the price later and redo the pictures. But if it sells before it gets sun faded, that's just a bonus, less work. But if it's super sun fade, it might sell for more. Here's an LRG. I've never sold anything of this brand. I've never looked into it, but I do know it's a Y2K brand. I used to have some growing up. I would imagine that it's like Fox and all those other ones. I believe it's like a biker brand like Fox, which regardless should be good for 10 or 15, but you might get upwards of 30. Aritzia, good brand for the women, made in Canada. Gary, another good vintage. Here is Chinos. I'm not really sure. This is a Google Lens. Just wanted to Google the name Chinos. It looks like they're older. They're made in China, so they're probably nothing, but is one to Google Lens. Here's another made in Canada, Saskatchewan Rough Riders on a official CFL tag. If you're from Canada, you'll know, or a football fan. That's the thing with these, is they're so specific. The Canadian Football League, not a lot of people even watch football here, so let alone that team. Like, it's a very very specific sell. Here's a Healy Hansen, stained a little bit, so I might toss this one, but a Healy Hansen button up. This one might go in the garbage because it is stained. I'm getting too many piles. Attraction, this has to be vintage. It's got the paper tag that's like wearing out. Usually if you see that, it's almost always vintage. Attraction fleece, have to Google Lens or send to my resellers for the women's. Oblique, made in Canada, vintage. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do a whatnot show for all this or not. Nike Dry Fit shorts, should just be an easy like 10-15 on Depop. They're not vintage, they're a little bit pilling, so probably a $10 piece. Sometimes the $10, I'm unsure if it's even worth the time for listing, but every 10 bucks does add up. You have the space. Panhandle, made in China. I'm pretty sure I saw Tech and Sports talk about Panhandle. I need to Google Lens that. Could be one of those brands that sell that you just don't know. It's got the little design inside the collar. US Polo Assassin, unsure if I should be keeping it. The Polo Assassin has never really done that well, but I'm gonna check some comps and ask my resellers if they want it. Adidas, again, just a soccer jersey. It's not a sports team or anything, but should be good for 10 or 15 because it's Adidas. Vintage Y2K O'Neill, put the brand logo there. And another Y2K 10, 15, 20. Talia, I think it says, dress. Unsure, gonna Google Lens it and send it to my resellers. Made in China. Oh no, it's not, it's made in Canada, so it is vintage. Possibly could go to a reseller or a vintage whatnot show. Zara women's tee. Here is one that I believe I wanted to Google Lens. Sonia and Kaio. Kind of like a trench coat, lots of big buttons on it. Looks like it has potential, but could be newer. This one I'm unsure to keep because it is not winter jacket season, but it is a nice DC Y2K heavyweight winter jacket. Should sell in theory. It's a little bit dirty, but do I want to hang on to winter jackets in springtime in Canada? Hard to say. Zainty dress pants. Zainty. Another Google Lens. Unsure on that one. Might be a throwaway. Another pair of these green sports made in Canada sweatpants. I think this is like football gear from the Eskimo stuff. Like I think this was like a player's gear, I think, which is kind of cool. They're probably Edmonton Esco worn pants and shirts, but Again, the market's so small for that I don't know. You might find a buyer if you really sit on it. Nike women's, these have a little bit more designs. They should sell better. Probably 20 bucks on Depop. Stranger Things hoodie, which is kind of cool. Probably not vintage, but cool little Depop item. It's got a Netflix tag on it. It should be, I don't know, you might get 30 for that, surprising. You might even get 40, surprisingly, to like a fan. Chateau, made in Canada. Women's, have these Disney kids underwear. Should sell. Anything Disney seems to do okay. Leopards to Roses, this looks vintage. Needs to be a Google Lens. Hard to say if it's made in Canada. Made in Nepal, it looks older. I'm gonna throw it in my vintage pile. This is definitely vintage. This is an old Northern Reflections tag. Starting to get faded. If it had a nice fade, it would be even nicer in my opinion, but this is definitely made in Canada. Paper tag's getting all worn. This vintage. Vivian Rose. This, I'm unsure, gotta do a Google Lens on. It's cop. Got like leather, I don't know if it's fake leather. It feels like real leather, but I'm not sure. On the sleeves, being that there's no paper tag in it, I'm assuming it's fake leather made in China, made in Portugal. It might, those like Portugal European brands might be worth something. Throw that in the Google Lens. We got this cool Gildan ultra heavy cotton aviators graphic tee. Another 20, 30 for me. Like I said, I didn't get a whole lot of bangers, but there is a whole lot of like $20, $30 items there. Like probably maybe 200 items. So 200 times 30, do the math on that. Here's some kids Okosh, Bigosh, which is a kids brand that sells well, apparently. Put that in my kids pile for my kids reseller. Women's Lee kind of dress pants. I'm pretty sure, again, I saw a YouTube video where Lee is a good brand, but I'm not entirely sure. Made in Bangladesh, but that will require a Google Lens. We are about 2/3 through the pile. I gotta stretch my legs. Oh, it's down for my feet. Oh, I can't lose my phone in here. That would be devastating. All right, next up, some more graphic stuff. Of course, your opinion matters. This might do good on Depop. I think I'm gonna toss it because at this point, I don't know if I need inventory. Made in Mexico, it does feel a bit older, but these like saying shirts seem to do okay on Depop. Sometimes they're usually good for 20 bucks, but I'm unsure if I need the inventory for like a hit or miss item. Here's a band tee that I need to look up. Emo's Not Dead, it says. Got sleeve hits on both sides. It looks like it had a hang tag as well as a thermal print, so I'm not sure, but band tees are usually always a safe bet, old or new. Older, definitely, it's gonna be more money. An old Harley Quinn, it's kind of beat up a little bit, thrashed a little bit, someone cut it. Unsure if that's new or old. It's kind of getting a cool fade to it. Might get 10. DC The Flash, made in Mexico. It is trademarked. There's no date on it though, but it should be. Again, another $15 item. Abercrombie Finch, should be good for a surf / Y2K show on Whatnot, or Depop item, 10 or 15. Nike sports bra, which might do okay. In the Lulu reseller box, an old Roots beaver canoe. This, I'm pretty sure, is early 2000s. Made in Canada. I don't think they make beaver canoe anymore. Should be good for another 20 to 30. Gildan heavy cotton Jaguar tee, should be good for another 20. I need to look up my Gildan tags. I'm not that familiar on them, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Gildan tags that are older that aren't made in Canada or USA. This, I think I'm gonna toss. Cool Charmander shirt, but its sleeves are cut, neck's cut, but I thought it was a cool find. I'm gonna throw that in the garbage pile wherever I put that other tee. These are definitely vintage. It's that old like waterproof material, like the old style, if you know what I mean. Wind River, they are vintage swim shorts. Red Sox Majestic Hedroni. I don't know anything about baseball, but I'm assuming that'll sell for, again, another 10, 20 bucks. Some of these I might need to go through a little bit more thorough just to see if I have space for the inventory I want to deal with the time posting and cleaning and yada yada. Tommy Bahama, I think is a good brand, but I'm not sure. That's gonna require a Google Lens. Cargo dress pant, Aeropostale hoodie, nice one, Y2K. Next up, we got a Fruit of the Loom vest tag, graphic vintage tee, Casino Regina, again from Saskatchewan, but it is a vintage cool graphic tee. Should be good for a graphic whatnot show. Another set of these vintage, probably Eskimo football sweats. Here we got this cool zip up. I'm pretty sure it's vintage. I can just tell by how the tag's fading. Dana is the tag. I don't know, it just looks old. Gonna have to Google this little symbol. I don't know, it might be like one of those old money brands that I just don't know about, so that'll be a Google Lens. Here we got an old, looks like a World of Warcraft graphic tee. It's on a newer Gildan. Just because it's World of Warcraft, it's got a fan base behind it. Probably get 10 or 15 again. Hollister, Up next, another Y2K. This, I believe, is a surf brand, Maui tag. Also got a paper tag made in Mexico. I'm not sure how much clothes gets made in Mexico anymore, but I do find some of the made in Mexico stuff is vintage. It's got a cool kind of hit there. Y2K kind of, first for sure, nothing on the back. Someone might buy it for 5 or 10. You might get 20 in like a vintage show. Another Aeropostale. We got a lot of Aeropostale and Abercrombie in this haul. This might be one of the best finds or most expensive. Actually, I think the hat was my favorite find, but Harley Davidson, Edmonton, Harley Davidson. This one faded up a little bit nicer. It would be super, super cool. It just needs a few more years, but it's getting there. Probably a 40 piece. Probably the highest end item we got. Here's kind of a cool Depop one. I can't eat gluten. Not vintage or anything, but could be a Depop item just because of the funny sayings. Eddie Bauer. I don't think Eddie Bauer sells that well, but I do know Eddie Bauer is going out of business, so it will be vintage and a commodity shortly, in the next probably 5 years or so. But I did want to Google Lens it just to make sure, because I do come across a lot of Eddie Bauer, which that may change soon. I believe this is vintage. Samuel Dong trench coat, made in China, but I'm pretty sure I Google Lens this coming off the truck, and I'm pretty sure it was worth money, but I'll need to look into that one. Pretty sure it was worth like $100, but I don't know for sure. Here's an old Champion, very old Champion. It's got like fleece on the inside of the hood and on the pockets. A little bit different than most typical Champion you see, so I thought I'd grab it. And it did have a hang tag at one point, but it's no longer there. I've been trying to stay away from Champion because I do have a bunch that isn't selling, but this one was a little bit unique, so I did keep that one. Should be 20. Polo, real Polo, Polo Ralph Lauren, real Polo. Button up, should sell, or Google Lens just to see what it's worth. Blue Jays cap, should be able to. 2016 postseason, so that will be worth something eventually. It's 10 years old. It got a little beat up in the Bale. Brim's a little bit broken, but I might get rid of it just because the brim's broken, but one day that'll be sought after. Had to be the era when they made it far in the playoffs too. I might try and throw it on Facebook. I just hate dealing with Facebook people and scheduling pickups and stuff that people aren't really serious. Another Depop reprint Guns N' Roses, probably another 15 to 20. Unsure if I should be keeping those reprints, but another Fruit of the Loom Best tag is vintage, but it's not really graphic or anything, so I might just throw it in my show. If I can sell it for a couple bucks, someone might buy it just for the tag. Nice Wilfred throw for my reseller friends. Rough dress, made in Canada, vintage tee. Getting close to the end here. Zara Man throw. There is another vintage made in Canada trench coat. I would imagine this, anything made in Canada that's a trench coat is probably at least $100, but I've never really tried to sell suit jackets. But these trench coats as it is are expensive, being that it's also vintage. This might be our #1 find in terms of sheer profit. Another Eddie Bauer, Mickey Mouse. Should be a Depop item, 1020. This one was really cool. Made it all the way to the end. Universal Studios Scooby-Doo. It's a little bit stained right here, but I might be able to oxy it out. It is vintage. It's made in Mexico, paper tag, Scooby-Doo tag. Very cool shirt. That might be also one of the coolest ones that we found. Could be upwards of $50. Vivian Rose. Tie-dyed Abercrombie Finch. I think I'm gonna do a big show and just get rid of all my Abercrombie Finch stuff for $5 or so just to get rid of it, because I got quite the haul. Star Wars, Onto a Galaxy Far, Far Away on a Star Wars tag. Should be good for collector or Depop. Up we got a vintage made in Canada Nike. The swoosh is like a little bit more over and it's embroidered. Small stain on the back, but a vintage Nike, true vintage Nike. 0.0 vintage, we learned about 0.0 already. Started this, it's got the little like sleeves and the cuffs. 0.0 throw, couple more items. Paper tag, paper sportsman made in Canada tag. Vintage, just a turtleneck, long sleeve. Vintage show, made in Italy dress pants. So these gotta be, anything made in Italy, you should start getting flags in your brain, because anything in Italy is always high end and worth money. So that'll have to be a Google Lens, though it might be a $100 pair of pants. More football, made in Canada, sweatshirt or sweatpants. A Mary Rose vintage paper tag. A vintage paper tag. The Roy maybe? Pro vintage. And I would have to look up this Nike tag. I'm pretty sure it's more modern, but another Nike bread and butter, 1015. Pink sweats. Not the color pink. Oh, never mind. Sweatshirt. Little turtleneck. Pink on the sleeves. This is kind of cool. Bubble hockey. This is when COVID happened. This is like a piece of history, to be honest, when the little COVID stuff was going down and all the hockey players were in the quote unquote bubble. So someone might want that as a collector's item. And then the last item, I can't remember if I showed this. I don't think so. Just be in my Zara pile. Zara women's tee. That is absolutely everything we got that I thought had potential, or I know has potential, or I'm gonna sell to another reseller. Actually, The last other thing that was very cool was this Winnie the Pooh vintage Disney paper tag, patch on the back, very cool vintage Disney kids. That is everything I found. I'm gonna do a quick total and add up all the items that we have here and do a rough count of how much money I think we're gonna make on this. Yeah, we did very good on this bale. This I think was the best bale for sheer profit, I think. The first bale I got some like decent higher end items, but not a lot of like mid-grade items, which your mid-grade items are gonna sell the best, and we got a lot of them. So second bale, I got a lot of junk. It was really stained. And what I've noticed is a lot of these bales are very much themed on who donated. There was a lot of traditional Indian wear in the second bale. This one had a lot of chef's clothes in it that I went through. Obviously a lot of Y2K stuff. It depends on the family that donated, which I've noticed. So some bales are gonna be really good, some will be shit, some will be medium. Let's add everything up and see what our approximate net win is on this. All right, everything is counted up. I went through the Google Lens pile, and the only things I threw away was this chaps, this England golf tee, these chinos, because I realized they're just Denver Haze, and this Sonia and Kaio trench coat. So only 4 things out of the Google Lens. So I did a pretty good job of just using my little spidey senses on what should be Google Lens. And everything that I Google Lensed was like a minimum 15, but upwards of like $50 to be sold on eBay. So I did a pretty good job on that. So then if we take all of those numbers and we add them up, I had about 72 items of like my Depop stuff, the Harleys, the Y2K, yada yada. And there wasn't a ton of bangers. So I just averaged everything out at about $26 a piece. Some will be a little bit more, some will be a little bit less, but on average, I would say about $20 to $25 every single thing in that pile that I'm gonna put on Depop, which is $1,800, almost $1,900. Things that I'm going to put in a reseller bundle and sell to some people at the bins, which included like the Wilford, the Zara, Lulu, 48 items, and I just want to get rid of them. I could probably sell them for longer if I want to sit on them. I just don't have the market for it. So 48 times 6 is about $300 just to a reseller. Old money vintage, stuff that is like strictly vintage, the trench coats, the turtlenecks, the dresses, like old money vintage that isn't really Depop. Maybe eBay items. I might be able to put them on eBay and get more and Google Lens those. I didn't really do too much research on the Google Lens for those. You might bump that up to like $20, but if I just want to do a whatnot show and get rid of them, about $6, about 200. But that could be higher because they are true vintage. And then my Google Lens pile that I didn't know, which were vintage and just some brands I didn't know, were on average of about $20 a piece. So if I put all those on eBay, another $220 for a total of $2,566 just for the items I kept. Whether I'm gonna sell that to other sellers or eBay or Depop. Now, my theory on everything else that I got, this is roughly the weights that I sorted and organized for everything else in the bale that's just leftovers. 230 pounds of women's, 138 pounds of mixed stuff, 104 pounds of men's, towels, blankets, about 130 pounds, kids stuff, about 70. I didn't weigh it, but I'm assuming there's about 70 pounds there. And this is all of that. I think, in theory, I should be able to, because it's sorted, all the stain stuff is taken out. When I sell this to my Africa buyer, I should be able to sell it to him for $3 a pound, which is about $2,000. He told me he was gonna pay up if it was sorted and clean. I have a feeling he might not take the jackets pile and he might not take some of the long sleeve stuff, so this may get cut back. But jeans are highly sought after in Africa. You could probably charge upwards of $4 a pound for jeans and t-shirts because that's really what they want. And then everything else, you might be able to do like $2 a pound, and then it would kind of work out to about $3 on average if he takes everything, which I don't think he will, but in best case scenario, he does. Kids, I might be able to make about $1,000 on the kids stuff, selling it to other resellers. There's a high market for kids vintage and even modern kids stuff, and people, the kids cost me, like the weight to it is nothing. So if I can sell them for $2-3 a piece to a reseller, they make upwards of 20 to 40 a piece. So even if I sell them for $3-4 or 200 or 300 pieces, I could probably make upwards of $1,000 on the kids, but that is a question mark. To be determined. Same with this. The 2,500 times a 20% no sell rate. So I took about $500 off for a 20% no sell rate. Those are just things that, I don't know, might not sell as quickly or at all, that I might have to donate in the future. So that brings us to a total of 2,000 for my items. And then the ground total for the leftovers being sold to Africa, kids clothes, my Depop stuff and eBay stuff, minus
$250 for the cost of the bale is a total of $4,800. It took me about 2 12-hour days to pick up the bale and sort the bale. Now I need to spend time also dealing with people to come pick these up, and there's probably a good day's worth of listing. So I would say there's probably 3 days of work here for a profit of about $4,500 to $5,000 if it all sells. Knock on wood. I might get a little culture shock on some of this, or the buyer for the clothes that are going to Africa might not sell near what I want, but it is sorted and clean, so in theory it should. Now the other thing is I might get $4,800 if I sit on this for a long time. My goal in this game is to get as much and move as much as quick as possible, which may cut that down to maybe even 3,000 if I just want to keep moving it out the door. So let's say I make $3,000 to $5,000 mark for about 3 days worth of work. Now, if it sells quickly, that's awesome. You could probably do about $4,000. You could probably do about 2 bales in a month and average about $8,000 a month, most likely, which seems good, but I may have to sit on this for a month or 2 months before it actually all sells, which isn't as good because then now you're selling $4,000 worth of stuff, which is good, but over 2 months or so. So it's not, you know, fast, which in theory, I would like to be making around that 6,000 to 8,000 a month to do this full time. That's kind of the breakdown on this bale. There will be more bale breaks in the future, vlogs on the way. And yeah, I will also in an upcoming vlog update you on what happens with the stuff that is supposed to get sold to Africa, if it sells and how much it sells for. So stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe. We're trying to get monetized on YouTube to also offset some cost on this and make some YouTube money hopefully one day and do this full time. So like, comment, subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Peace.